Biggest takeaway is your body is not a mechanical vehicle made of parts and pieces and tissues and structures. It is a natural cellular ecosystem. And when you start to think about it that way and support it from the foundation with minerals, it can change your life. I say, if you are looking for more energy, the best source of energy on earth is from the earth. It's minerals.
Hello and welcome, Caroline Allen, to the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Zora. Super happy to be here.
It's always easier to do episodes again with people you've already done an episode with. Like, now I feel like I know you and it's easier. And we have spoken so much already about minerals. And I really encourage everyone to go listen to that first episode that we recorded because you did such a good job. And I kept pounding the questions at you because I kept trying to wrap my head around certain things and I didn't get it. And then you're really good at explaining these things too. And you had a lot of patience for me as I always have so many questions.
My philosophy of life is there are no stupid questions.
Yay. I like that. Because I've had professors who've told me the otherwise. I'm like, eh.
Exactly. I say, stupid questions are what make you smart.
Yay. I
right?
Like that.
You just have to keep asking. So
yes, exactly. Well, I got a lot of questions. And today I really want to dive a little bit into your new book, The Mineral Reset. I love the name. And that book it's really thorough on all things that we're going to cover today, but we won't have a time to cover all of it. So I encourage everyone to please go and get the book if you really want to take a deeper dive. And in that book, you've got some practical tips and the actions and the ways we can improve our health, particularly when we've tried it all and nothing is working. And you were someone very much like that. And like many of the women that I've spoken to over the years who've tried everything or nearly everything to heal. And they've tried whether it's their gut or their fatigue or thinning hair, poor sleep. These are just a few of the many issues that we're seeing in this menopause phase. And your story is so interesting because you did change the trajectory of your health and of your life. And now you wrote the book on how minerals have affected your health and the well-being. So I'd love for you to just quickly talk us through what happened to you, because I'm sure that is going to resonate with so many of our listeners.
Yeah. So it was about 10 years ago. And at that time, I was in very ill health. I had flatlined adrenals. They'd been flatlined up for over a year. I had bad inflammation in my gut, even after being gluten-free for like 7 years. I couldn't ever get over the bloating after eating, the discomfort and elimination issues. I had bad inflammation in my mouth with bad periodontal disease, gum recession, and bone loss in my teeth. I had recurring sinus infections. I'd had a mold exposure event, which had really impacted me, and I could not get over the continual series of sinus infections. I had bad brain fog, and that's really the thing that cinched it for me and made me have to leave my corporate career. At the time, I had 2 young boys that I half-time parented alone. I was working a 60-hour-a-week job, and things were very intense. I also didn't sleep through the night. Now, I had been an insomniac all my life, meaning I had a really hard time falling asleep. But at this point, I not only had a hard time falling asleep, I also had a hard time staying asleep, and I would wake up 3, 4, 5 times a night. So I was trashed. And
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Just because it sounds so much like perimenopause or menopause symptoms. And how did you know this was not menopause or not your hormones acting up on you?
I was doing HRT, first of all. These things have been cropping up for a long period of time. I also have Hashimoto's, so I was taking thyroid, and my thyroid numbers were good, and not just based on Western doctors or conventional doctors, but a real women's health person. And I was doing HRT. But they were not cutting it. They were not making the difference for me because I had so many chronic symptoms. And this is the thing about chronic symptoms is, as a woman, having had 2 children, which take a huge amount of energy for the body to build and then deliver and then care for in terms of milk production, et cetera, afterwards. And I never replenished. I didn't know how to replenish myself after being pregnant. And then I hit perimenopause. So it was a cascade effect. All of these low level things that were probably pretty low level, but when I hit perimenopause, the wave came. And my body literally could not keep up with all of the issues. I had major hair loss. I had all sorts of weird symptoms.
Yeah, I do say to people who actually, sorry to interrupt, like it's menopause. Sometimes we think, oh, it's just the hormones or it's just hormone loss, but it's so often what you bring into menopause is your menopause experience. And this is, you've clearly had issues before, but then when the hormones get disrupted and they're going all over the place and eventually bottom out, it exacerbates the problem or it brings it to the surface. And that's where it sounds like that perhaps was your case. And so getting on HRT is not a bad move, but did that help at all? Or did it just...
It definitely helped some. It definitely helped some, but I had so many hits when you're not sleeping at night, just not sleeping at night, never getting enough REM sleep, and I'm waking up 3-4 times a night. That's a huge disruption to a body, and including mental health, physical health, emotional health, energetic health, metabolic health, all of these different levels. It's a hit to everything because there are so many functions that happen during sleep and only happen during certain parts of your sleep that are critical to bodily function. So just that alone was a huge thing. And today I sleep through the night almost every night.
Yay.
And I have no trouble falling asleep either.
That's the way it should be.
Just that alone. Imagine that if you're somebody who wakes up a lot at night, just imagine going to sleep at night and waking up in the morning. For me, it's every night. It's miraculous because I spent literally 40 years not sleeping.
40 years not sleeping. Oh my gosh, you said you were an insomniac. Yeah, that started.
I was a bad insomniac, yes. It's a miracle to sleep through the night. So just that alone. And really what happened to me is that because when I started getting mineral replenished using these plant-based mineral substances called Humic and fulvic, all these changed, all those things that I described, they all resolved. They all resolved. The HRT, the hormone replacement really started to take hold. Even my thyroid ended up really working. So many different things changed that's when I started going, what? Minerals? No one ever mentioned. I've been to countless practitioners, you name it, I've done it, trying to heal myself. And then taking minerals made a difference.
Yeah,
and no one ever mentioned minerals.
Yeah, no one until your friend who said, hey, let's try this. And you had little doubt. You didn't have much, I guess, faith, because when you've tried 100 things, another one, you have a little hope, but your hope isn't the same hope as in the first thing that you tried. You're like, okay, I'll still try it because I haven't tried it. And the surprise that you get when you kind of put the things together, and you describe this so well in your book, the whole story. And so what I'm also wondering, because you were doing so many things and you were living a healthy diet and lifestyle, it's not like you were doing that. So perhaps also you had certain things in place. So when you did add the minerals, then all that could have been like the missing piece, because I don't know if somebody just didn't have some of these pieces and then put the minerals in and they're still smoking and drinking and having a party lifestyle or whatever, or not doing the work. Would those really be as effective?
That's the interesting thing, is even if you're living an unhealthy lifestyle, adding full spectrum minerals into your body in a way that's very bioavailable can have a profound effect, even if you're living in an unhealthy lifestyle. And particularly if you're using fulvic and humic, these plant-based mineral substances, because it can truly help you if you're living an unhealthy lifestyle, because they are continuous detox, because of their continuous detox capacity.
Okay, we're not saying to go live the unhealthy lifestyle. Sorry, I'm thinking, just in case people goes, oh, I can continue with my unhealthy lifestyle. It's better if you change that, but sometimes it's really hard. So getting this on board, then maybe you see the light and go, okay, wait a second. I can now at least make the efforts.
Just think about something like somebody who really craves sugar. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people who truly crave sugar. And what I want them to think about is, what if that is your cells, literally your cells telling you that they don't have what you need, what they need. And so they're sending a signal to your nervous system saying, we don't have what we need. We don't have what we need. We don't have what we need. We need something quick. And so they're sending you to the salty snacks, to the sugar hit, because what does a hungry cell crave? It craves sugar and salt. It craves that quick ability to generate energy. So if you can instead provide that foundational support, your sugar cravings can greatly reduce, and in some cases just not be an issue at all. I didn't crave like candy and things just because I've never been much of a candy eater, but I did crave sugar in the form of fruit, and I ate a lot of fruit at that time. Like I'd sit down and eat a pound of grapes
Yeah. Oof.
in a few minutes, in 10 minutes, and that's a lot of sugar. And after I got replenished, I find myself just not even interested in the grapes, or I might eat 3 or 4 grapes and go, oh, that's good. That's all I really wanted.
Interesting. So interesting. So I also realize that our cravings and these signals, they're signals to our body that we don't have enough nutrients in there. So how do we know if it's minerals or vitamins that we're missing, or both? I don't know.
The foundation, the absolute bottom of everything, is minerals. So the vitamins that you take, those are micronutrients. They don't really work without minerals. All of the hormone replacement doesn't really work without minerals. Your thyroid, if you're taking levothyroxine, it doesn't really work without minerals. Every single biosynthesis process in your body requires minerals. And in addition, inside your cells, your mitochondria require minerals to generate energy. So if, let's say, a body that has all the minerals that it needs, it can generate about 1,200 watts of electricity every day. But let's say you were only getting maybe 70, no, actually, it's probably more like 60 would be actually a generous percentage of the amount of minerals that most people are getting who aren't replenishing. It's probably lower, but we'll just use that number. So let's say you're only generating 800 watts of electricity in your body. And so your body has to pick and choose. And it says, well, I'm not hair, that's not really important. And your nails, your fingernails, we'll forget about that. And we're going to keep your muscles working, but we may create cramping because we're not going to have enough energy to release the muscle once it gets engaged. And that inflammation in your gut, well, there's just not enough energy to completely clear it out. So we'll just clear it to a low level. Went on and on and on, all your chronic symptoms. And in addition, that your cells, again, are sending that message to your nervous system saying, we don't have what we need here. We don't have what we need here. We don't have what we need here. And that raises stress, creates anxiety, it creates cognitive issues. In a single cell, a neuron in your brain, you could have up to 2 million mitochondria. 2 million, and each one of those mitochondria require a full spectrum of minerals, like 18 minerals, to do their full energy generation process.
I liken it to your phone going on low battery mode. It kind of like shuts other things down. You can still use some of the basic functions, but it doesn't want to have all the apps on and everything. Right. So you just are at a bare minimum. So I know that you love how things tinker, or how things work, and you tinker around and you look under the hood, and that's your nature. So why don't you explain to the people who want to understand also more about minerals? What are minerals?
Yeah.
And why we need them so much? And I mean, we kind of know what we need them, but let's start with the basic. What is a mineral?
So if you remember in high school when you were taking science classes, most of us did at some point, and you were shown the periodic table. And most of us, like the periodic table came and went, we're like, oh yeah, that's the periodic table, whatever. But all of those things listed are minerals. And if you're sitting in a room right now, maybe, or taking a walk or driving, exercising, and you look around you, everything in the universe, all of the structure in the universe is made of minerals. every single, if you get down to the foundational, like tiniest element level, it's all minerals. And in fact, your body, your entire body is made of minerals. So now your body utilizes about 18, depends on who you talk to, 18 or 22 minerals. And many of them are ones we've heard of, like magnesium, potassium, calcium, chromium, selenium, these ones that most of us have heard of. Zinc, we all learned about that during the pandemic. But there are also minerals that you probably have no idea either that you need or have never even heard of them. Like copper is really important in your body, sulfur, but then there's things like molybdenum, vanadium, ones that you're definitely not going to, you may not have ever heard of it, and you're probably not going to go try and find it at the health food store.
Yeah.
So, but the thing about these minerals is all of the ones I mentioned, plus all the others that make up the 18 to 22, is you have to have them. They're not like nice to have. Like the vitamins, the vitamin D, the vitamin C, the vitamin B, you can live with those for a long time.
And our body makes some of them, whereas minerals, we don't,
Minerals,
right?
absolutely, your body doesn't make any of them. Your body does not make them. So now most vitamins are also come from the outside as well, from foods you eat, but it's a really different thing. You will actually perish without minerals in a few hours.
Well, it sounds like NAD or spermidine or oxygen or so many of these things. As we age, we lose it and it's going down. And we would actually, we are struggling in general with the lack of these things. So the minerals is just another one of these very crucial elements that, we can't live without. And that makes perfect sense.
And the minerals really are the foundation. I've sat on many panels at different conferences, et cetera, with experts in different fields, spermidine as an example, or NAD, or whatever, all of the different kind of biohacking things that people use. And what's so interesting is by the end of the panel, every single expert will be talking about their specific thing and then saying, but without minerals, this doesn't work. So they all agree that minerals is the foundation. And why isn't anybody talking about it up until now? Why haven't we talked about minerals? It's just a misunderstanding, and they're very complex to talk about. I've spent 10 years trying to find language and ways to tell stories and give some metaphor so people can understand how important mineral replenishment is to their body and how to do it effectively.
You talk about in your book, you make a really clear distinction between supplementation and replenishment. Mm-hmm. I'd love for you to explain the difference between the two.
Yeah. Well, at a very basic level, supplementation just means adding something into a system. And replenishment means actually using the replenishment methods that system uses to get something into the system. And I'll give you an example. So if you took your car to the gas station and you filled a cup with gas and you put it in the cup holder, it would do nothing for your car, right? It would stink it up. That's it. That's like supplementation. You're taking the gas and you're putting it in your vehicle, but it's not bioavailable. It's not usable by the vehicle. So when we use supplements that are, first of all, and particularly in the mineral world, that's mainly what I speak about, it somewhat applies to all supplements. And part of what I want people to do is start thinking about what they're putting in their body differently. But the foundational thing is, if you're going to use mineral supplements that are made from rocks, shells, bones, these things don't break down well in your digestive tract. The human digestive tract just isn't well versed, doesn't have the right enzymes and tools to break down those things very efficiently. So when you take, let's say, a 500 milligram capsule of calcium made from shells, what happens is 90% of it never gets broken down and gets eliminated. It ends up in the toilet. Now, the thing about it is also you're creating a concentration of calcium. And this is the other part about supplementation believes I can just fill up the tank the way I would at the gas station, fill up the gas tank, fill up the window shield windshield wiper fluid, the high, I don't know, whatever, you fill up the tanks, right, of the different reservoirs. But your body doesn't work like that at all. And in fact, minerals all work together in balanced ways. So minerals are very powerful substances. And when you create a concentration and you put that concentration into a cellular ecosystem, which is actually what your body is, that ecosystem says, I've got a concentration, I need to eliminate most of this to bring the system back into balance. So you've got two problems. You take the 500 milligrams of calcium, and first of all, the system goes, oh my gosh, I've got way too much calcium here in this one place in my gut, and I need to get rid of a lot of it. So it pulls water. It also pulls phosphorus and magnesium from other parts of your body to balance, because that's what balances with calcium. And ultimately, it eliminates like 90% of it. Now, a small amount of that shell-based calcium gets broken down. Now, when it gets broken down, hopefully it will hit a receptor, a molecule of calcium will hit a receptor site on the lining of your gut, and that receptor site will go, oh, like a catcher's mitt. It's like, oh, I've got this calcium, let's let it in. Now that calcium enters your bloodstream. Now that's really cool. Now you've got calcium in your bloodstream, but where that calcium actually has to get to make a difference is inside your cells. Now it has to make the journey into your cells. So the calcium hits a receptor site on your cell goes, oh yeah, that's calcium, let it in, and now it's available inside your cell for utilization by the mitochondria and also for other biosynthesis processes. The point of this is that's just one calcium molecule. And that model of supplementation is extremely inefficient. I'm not saying it doesn't work at all, but it's extremely inefficient. And the way the supplement industry has dealt with it is like, oh, well, then we'll just give them 1,000 milligrams of calcium, because that way, instead of a smaller amount, they'll get a large. But here's the interesting thing. When you take 1,000 milligrams of calcium, you actually end up getting a lower level of bioavailability. And it makes sense.
When I read that blew my mind. Wait, you got to stop and explain that.
Well, it makes sense again, because now you have an even greater concentration of this very strong substance in your gut. So your body is even more focused on bringing the system back into balance. So it has to even more effectively eliminate the excess. So when you think about your body, instead of like a car with these tanks that you can fill up, if you recognize it's more like a forest. So it's a very complex natural ecosystem. And natural ecosystems thrive with small, balanced, extremely bioavailable substances delivered regularly, continually over time. They don't like big hits. If you took a wheelbarrow of calcium and threw it on a forest floor, probably the plants in the area wouldn't thrive. They'd be like, oh, what do we do with this? Because this is like way too much calcium.
This kind of explains, so many women are in my community with osteopenia or osteoporosis, and we're trying to help them get through reversing that. And almost everybody who's had some scan or results are told by their doctor, just take some calcium and walk. And I get women all the time who are like, I've been taking this for 5 years and I still am getting worse and worse bone density. And this is actually what you're just telling me now, is that they're upping it. They're probably thinking, oh, I don't have enough calcium, taking even more. And what they're not realizing is they're lowering the bioavailability. And so they're actually getting less, and perhaps even increasing their risk of a heart attack or some constipation or other issues that really there's a trade-off, and there's not even a trade-off, because they're not even getting what they want out of this supplement.
Right. So they're playing whack-a-mole, trying to push this thing down over here. Now they get some other symptom. I've had that happen so many times in my health journey. I completely understand that. Or some women there's a whole thing out there about taking high-dose strontium, and I'm telling you that is very dangerous, and I've had somebody who nearly died from it. So you have to be very careful, and I don't recommend it. The thing about minerals is, yes, single minerals can have an effect, but you're dealing with actually, in the world of ecosystems, very strong fundamental substances, and they're not well understood. And so in the medical world, so they think, oh, strontium has this effect. In some cases, we'll just do this. Or calcium, it makes sense. Calcium is made of, bones are made of calcium. Let's just put a whole bunch of calcium in there. But there are so many factors related to bone health. So you can't just, that's completely like filling a cup with calcium and putting it in the cup holder. It doesn't really work. So there's a lot about bone, a lot to do related to bone health. But again, what you need to do is make the calcium bioavailable to your ecosystem. And so rather than providing large amounts of calcium into your system, what you need to do is provide balanced ratios, meaning calcium that's also in balanced ratios with phosphorus and magnesium, so that you can continue or create balance in the ecosystem and make that calcium extremely bioavailable and utilizable by your bones. So it's the wisdom of your body is phenomenal. And so what I always say is, if we just use nature's tools, because nature solved this a long time ago.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Go on.
I want to go back to the strontium because we do hear about this. Women are out there buying supplements that have strontium, and this is supposed to improve their DEXA scores. And it's a mineral. So that's why I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about that, because it started out, I think, as a drug, and then it was taken off the market because of the increase of heart attacks and a very rare syndrome called DRESS.
Yeah.
And any bone expert I've been speaking to who've been helping people, they're like, oh, we gave that up a long time ago. But now there's a supplement version. Okay, it's not a drug, but there's a supplement, and it's taken from minerals. So we're assuming it's safe because it's a mineral. But however, some of these companies have very high dosages. And I think there is probably a necessity of strontium because it is a mineral, probably need it, but maybe not in the kind of amounts that we're getting in a supplement. So that is something good to be aware of. And it could be anything, high dose calcium or high dose whatever. It is really powerful stuff. And just because it's on the shelf and you don't need a prescription for it doesn't mean it's safe.
Yeah. And this is really what I'm trying to do, Zora, is I'm trying to bring the conceptual framework for minerals, what they are and how they work. And to do that, you have to actually look at your body differently. Instead of something like a mechanical vehicle, I'm just going to put stuff into it and it's going to make a difference, it's more like gardening. It's going to be more like, go take a walk in a forest and imagine that your body actually is like that. Let's just take it even farther and let's talk about the body is like the earth. Your digestive tract is like the rivers and lakes on the earth. It's a freshwater system. Your bloodstream is like the ocean. It's a saltwater system. So people who are using salt-based electrolyte stick packs on a daily basis, what are they doing? They're putting salt in their rivers and lakes. And so your gut microbiome is completely made of freshwater microbiota, microflora, all the microorganisms, et cetera, they're all freshwater beings. And they don't thrive in a salt-based system. So when you're putting large concentrations of salt, 1,000 milligrams of salt, at one time directly into your gut microbiome, your gut will completely go out of balance. Your microbiome completely gets trashed. And I talk to so many people every single day. They use the salt-based electrolytes because they're supposedly working, but their guts are trashed.
That's crazy.
So rather than using something that's a concentrated mineral or set of minerals, what you want to do is find a full spectrum, naturally balanced solution, and what I call trace minerals. So these are, rather than measured in milligrams, they're measured in parts per million. And
that's tiny.
Preferably, the humic and fulvic are really molecules. They're mineral complexes, and they're really designed by nature to provide mineral replenishment and actually enhance mineral replenishment of all cellular life on the planet. It's
I would love to, I want to go, touch a little bit on that because we did talk a lot about humic and fulvic. So these are two words. Please go and, if you want to take a deeper dive, read the book as well as go listen to that podcast episode. But so you talk about replenishing the minerals and how important this is. And as we're going through menopause and how we need this sort of complex. So it sounds like it's a symphony. And this is why a lot of nutritionists would talk about, well, that's why we eat food. We eat real food because it's not just taking calcium when you eat yogurt or something, then you're actually getting a lot of these other benefits from other parts of this plant or whatever food. So why can't someone just get all their minerals from food?
Well, this is the sad fact, and it's scientifically been shown with studies that the foods that our grandfathers had much greater nutrient density than the foods that we eat today. There was a study done, I think it was done in 2002. It measured foods grown in the 1950s and foods grown in 1999 and showed a substantial decrease in nutrient density. So some people say that to get the same nutrition from an apple that your grandfather ate, today you'd have to eat 6 or 7 apples. So the sad fact is you cannot actually eat enough volume of food to get all of the micronutrients that you need. It's not possible. It's not like humanly possible anymore. Mm-hmm. So you have to find ways to replenish the minerals in your system. Otherwise, you will just be your body will constantly be working at a deficit. And to kind of even increase the problem, lots of people are drinking what I call empty water. So that's water that's been filtered using reverse osmosis or water that's been distilled. So the problem with empty water is it enters your body, and you know what it does? It binds to minerals and goes straight through you, and it carries those minerals out. So when you're drinking empty water, it's not hydrating you. It's actually ultimately going to dehydrate you. And there's lots of studies about this. So you need to drink mineralized water. So if you're buying water, you need to be definitely buying spring water, and even preferably you need to be remineralizing your water before you drink it. I'm holding up my glass of my minerals every day. When I fill a glass of water, I just throw some minerals in there and drink it. Now my body has access to the H2O, not only just getting it into my gut, but actually getting it into my cells.
The thing we covered pretty well, because that makes the difference. It's not what you take, it's what you absorb into the cells, not necessarily just the bloodstream. So you're taking it to next level. And this explains then why some people are not feeling a difference when they take their supplements or vitamins or whatever it is that they're taking. And you mentioned that I don't think this is news for people who've been in this wellness space to hear that, yeah, our nutrients the food that we eat is not as nutrient dense as we had before. And if it is new for you, well, welcome, because it's really important. However, I'm wondering if that's the same in Europe. And because what you explained to me last time was it's the way they till the soil. It's the soil doesn't have the nutrients, and so the plant can't get it. And it's the way the farming practices. But do you know if it's the same in Europe?
It's the same everywhere, and here's why. So when a plant grows in the soil, in nature, the plant grows, and the way it grows is by pulling minerals from the soil. It actually uses minerals specifically to create energy for growth as well as to create the structure of the plant. Now in nature, that plant ultimately dies and it decomposes, and as it decomposes, it delivers its mineral content back into the soil. But what we do, and we've been doing it worldwide for generations, we grow food and we harvest it. And we take it away from where it was grown and we eat it, and we do all sorts of things to it, and we dispose of its waste far from where it was grown. And that mineral content never gets back to the soil. So, I mean, there are countless, you can just do a search on ChatGPT, there are countless absolute studies. In fact, in 1936, this is in the US, but it truly is an issue worldwide. But in 1936, a man brought a study to the US Congress explaining that we were struggling in 1936 of major mineral depletion in our soil. And since then, we have done nothing. So even in Europe, even if you're growing food in your backyard garden or buying it from the farmer, that farmer and even you're growing food in that same soil. Now, what is happening is regenerative farming is happening. And regenerative farming not only does this no-till, which is more about carbon sequestering and things like that, but they're also using humic and fulvic to regenerate the soil. The same problem that we have with getting minerals into our body, it's exactly the same problem you have of getting minerals back into the soil. You can't just throw some calcium onto the soil and expect it to make a difference. You actually have to provide this full spectrum of minerals to the soil in a way that the soil can actually access it. The microbes in the soil can actually access it.
Okay, so now we need to replenish. Then there's a good reason to replenish the minerals. And if you think you're getting it with your filtered water, you're not. If you're taking it as an electrolyte, you're probably ruining your gut. And on the topic of gut, what about the menopause gut? Because even if you are taking a high quality supplement of any kind, then is your gut going to be able to process that?
Yeah, there's so many things that happen in a woman's gut as she moves into perimenopause and menopause, and the whole change of estrogen and progesterone and the ways that things operate, and both the generation of those in the body as well as the way they're utilized. And they are kingpins in a woman's health. The thing that I really want people to think about is that, so as an example, a lot of women are using magnesium for sleep. Yes, it does. It will put you to sleep. Or they use it for elimination. Yes, it will make you go. But it's throwing that gut microbiome that is so key to the overall working of so many things in your body, including your brain and the way it works, in all of your neurotransmitter washes in your body that relate to how you feel about life, all of those things. The gut, we know, is this key piece. And what we want to do is support that microbiome the way you would support a forest. And the way you would support a forest is by providing that full spectrum of foundational support. So underneath everything, every biosynthesis process, every energy generation process, every neurotransmitter, everything in your body requires minerals. So you have to start there. Start there, and then everything else you're doing is going to work so much better. And I don't recommend using these concentrated mineral substances like the salt-based electrolytes or the magnesium for sleep. Even taking pills of selenium, chromium, and those things, it's not really going to help you. Providing those same elements in a balanced natural ratio complex like a humic and fulvic that supports the uptake of those nutrients into the cells, it's a game changer, absolute game changer for perimenopause and menopause.
How do humic and fulvic minerals are affected by estrogen loss? Do we know?
How are humic and fulvic affected?
There was a study done where premenopausal women with their estrogen and then postmenopausal women without their estrogen, and if they were to take humic and fulvic, are they going to respond exactly the same?
If you think of it this way, think about, so estrogen is key to energy. It's like the energy modulator, one of the key energy modulators in the body. So if you're moving into perimenopause and your body, again, remember, that if you're fully mineralized, you can generate about 1,200 watts of electricity, okay? But now imagine you're not replenished, you don't have all those minerals, so you start out into perimenopause and you're generating only 800 or 700 watts of electricity every day. And now you hit the sea change event of perimenopause where all of the energy generation modulators are affected and changing how they work in your body. And now it's like a double whammy. It's a double whammy. So what you want to do, so think about, and actually I didn't really explain it, but inside of your cells you have mitochondria. And I like to describe what's happening in there like a little campfire. So each mitochondria is like a match, and the minerals are like the heavy fuel, like the firewood that you're going to build a campfire with. And the tinder, the stuff that lights really easily for your campfire, is the amino acids. A lot of those are present in your body. Many come from the outside, but also many are present. So you have to have the fuel, the minerals and the tinder, the amino acids, but and then the match, the mitochondria, is what allows that energy generation fuel to turn into energy, to actually be converted into energy, into these tiny units of energy called ATP. Now, as you age and as you hit menopause and perimenopause and menopause, that whole metabolic, we call this metabolic health, like the health of your mitochondria, gets a big hit. So what you need to do is provide more fuel to the active and healthy mitochondria to continue that higher level of energy output that your body has to do all the different things and to manage this sea change event in your hormonal system.
So it sounds then, if you were to do a study like that, then the premenopausal women would be absorbing the minerals just fine, whereas the postmenopausal women would be like, okay, you're not absorbing as well, so we probably need to increase the amount of humic and fulvic.
I'm not sure if that would be the case. I think, honestly, I don't know that would be the case. I couldn't comment on it. I really don't know. So
there's no study on it.
I don't know than make a big pronouncement that could be completely wrong.
Yeah. Well, somebody do the study, because that's interesting. Because we know the menopause guts changes. We know with the loss of our hormones, a lot of things change that could affect, well, we know it affects the absorption of our vitamins and minerals and things. So it'd be interesting. I always say please sort the gut out. But what you're saying is that the humic and fulvic can help that as well. So
there's a study that just came out recently. I think it was in Nature or one of the scientific journals about fulvic in particular and all of the different areas that it's been shown to be effective in supporting, including gut health, supporting women in menopause, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a really interesting study, and we could, if you're interested, we could provide it in your show notes.
Oh, yes, please. We love to look into that. And I get questions very often. If please send that. So I'll look for that. But you did mention the mitochondria and how they need the minerals and the amino acids. And so mitochondrial function is super important. I think it's getting a lot of press lately. Mitochondria, as you mentioned, is the little powerhouse of our cells, creates the ATP and the energy so our body can do many things. And they need these minerals and amino acids. So if anybody did an online search looking to how do I help and support my mitochondria, they'll know that exercise and eating well and sleeping well and reducing that toxic burden like smoking and drinking, the pollution, all that stuff will help. And perhaps maybe even taking some mitochondrial supporting supplements like the urtyl FNA or Mitochondrial, CoQ10, maybe spermidine. But these are what I'm learning from you is that is supplementing, not replenishing. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So I'd love to know, does replenishing our body with minerals would do the same thing as these? Are they complementary or are they completely?
They're complementary. Yeah. So really the minerals are underneath. And in fact, I've been on panels with people with urethrin A, NAD, also spermidine. And this is, we were on particularly a longevity panel. And that's where they all ended up saying yes. And you have to have minerals first. So really think of it like the minerals are the first thing. And after that, now, if you take spermidine, now it has the power to actually be effective in your system. So supplementing would be just adding a whole bunch of stuff without the minerals to actually make those things useful and utilizable in your system. Remembering that every biosynthesis process in the body requires a mineral or multiple minerals to occur.
So it sounds like it's the foundation. And I did an interview and learned about phosphatidylcholine, which I didn't know about before. And then so that helps with the cell membrane so that you can absorb some of these things. Mm-hmm. So then I was thinking, oh, wow, there's no point in taking all these supplements and doing the thing if the cells are not strong. So almost for me, it was like, oh, phosphatidylcholine is a foundation. So how does do they work similarly in that sense? They're both foundational, the minerals and the phosphatidylcholine, or are we just?
Yeah, so phosphatidylcholine is such an interesting thing. And it's really great because so many people are unaware that their cell membranes are not working well, and due to things like seed oils, all sorts of different toxins, et cetera, or the permeability of our cells in our body are low. Now, here's the cool thing. Fulvic, which is that fulvic is this mineral complex. So when we talked before, we talked about one calcium molecule hitting up against the lining of your gut and getting brought into your bloodstream. And now that one calcium molecule hits the lining of your cell, hopefully in a place that's healthy, and then it comes into your cell. Now you've got one molecule of calcium, but imagine now a full spectrum molecule called fulvic. And fulvic is a mineral complex. It's got all the minerals your body needs in the natural ratios that you need to receive them. So already pre-formulated by nature, because interestingly enough, your body needs the same ratio of minerals as all the other cellular organisms on Earth at a mitochondrial level, at a very low level, okay? So the thing about fulvic is that it has this capacity to bring that full spectrum of minerals into your cells. And then there's the humic molecule. They're two partners. And the humic molecule has the ability to interact with the proteins in cell walls and cause the cell to increase its permeability. So let's say if you're in a room right now and you have one door and one window, so much can go in, they're open, so much can go in and out. But if you have 4 doors and 4 windows, lots of things can go in and out much more efficiently. So the humic molecule creates more permeability with your cells, and the fulvic molecule carries the full spectrum of minerals into your cell and drops them off, delivers them into your cell. So if you have more fulvic in your system, it greatly enhances the efficiency of nutrient uptake into your cells. Because you're not just bringing one calcium molecule in, you're bringing a full spectrum of minerals into the cell and delivering it.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like they work together because
they work together.
It's in the sense that you need the cell to be healthy. Now the window's open, the
exactly.
door's open.
So you actually have this opportunity to create that permeability in the cell to make it much more openings for things to go in and out. And now you have the fulvic that the cell recognizes and goes, oh, that's fulvic, let it in. And any channel that opens, the fulvic can go straight through and drop off its bolus of nutrients into the cell. So this is why people feel, after using fulvic particularly, they'll feel the difference in their energy within 10 days.
Oh,
it's
wow.
not overnight. It's not like an energy drink. It's not like caffeine. It's not like ashwagandha or something that's going to amp your system. It's not about that. It's just literally providing more nutrients and more minerals into the cell so more campfires can get started.
So then let's say the woman who's listening now has osteopenia or osteoporosis and says, I got to increase my bone mineral density. My calcium supplement's not working. Could she just take humic and fulvic and then expect bone density to increase? Yeah. Assuming she may be also hopefully doing the exercises and her guts like sorted out, all those other things in place. It's not just about supplement, but could it have the same effect as her bone supplement that she's been buying all along?
So again, I'm not a practitioner, so we're going to have to just do our little disclaimer. But I will tell you that there have been studies done on fulvic and bone density. And if you want to connect me with that person, we're happy to share that study so they can read about it. The thing that I would also tell that person is please do not use magnesium for sleep, because magnesium actually works against your osteopenia, or actually fuels the osteopenia, because when you put a large bolus of magnesium into your gut has to, your system, your ecosystem tries to balance that, and it balances that with calcium and phosphorus, which come from your bones. So it's not a good idea to use salt-based electrolytes, which have a lot of magnesium, or use magnesium for sleep or elimination in that case. You would be much better off to find a very bioavailable calcium. If you want to really enhance your calcium uptake, use fulvic and humic, and then perhaps go to upgraded labs, my friend Barton Scott, and get one of their nanoized calcium supplements. So I always say, for somebody who's really trying to enhance a particular piece, you could use something like that for a short period of time to see if you're getting the effect that you want.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot of new science around bone health too. So,
Well, then what about also usually bone supplements would have a vitamin D3 and a K2 and
so you would
a
need to be
vitamin
taking
C.
those.
So she should be also taking some of these
Yes,
things
exactly.
as
So you
well.
need to be, if you're working with your bone health specialist, they'll be having you already taking those things. But what you have to recognize is that beautiful thing about humic and fulvic is they are going to make all of those things more bioavailable to your body. They literally are going to sit in your system and they are going to support uptake of those nutrients, those micronutrients into your cells.
Okay. So I'm sure everyone's going, where do I get humic and fulvic complexes? And I take B minerals, which is the one that you recommended to me. We've done that on the first podcast episode. But if somebody for some reason couldn't get a hold of that, what should they be looking for in a humic and fulvic supplement? Or I don't know, do I call it a supplement? Complex.
Yeah, well, first of all, what I want to let people know is in my book, The Mineral Reset, there is a buyer's guide. And this buyer's guide will help you find the replenishment tool that's going to work for your lifestyle, for your location on the earth, et cetera. So there are many substances that are humic. And I say humic substances mainly because fulvic is actually part of the humic molecule. We are able to extract it so that we have separately humic and fulvic separately because they have different capacities, which we could go into another time. But you want to have both. So there are substances, something called shilajit, which is a tarry substance. If you're going to use shilajit, first of all, it tastes terrible. So if you're taste sensitive, you'll want to take it in a capsule. And you want to absolutely 100% ensure that the location you're getting it from is a pure source, because sadly, people have determined that you can take a little bit of shilajit and mix it with God knows what, and people won't know the difference. And then it also has to be stored. It easily can develop mold if it's not stored properly. So you have to, there's lots of things to confirm and check if you're going to use a shilajit supplement. There's also something called peat. Usually comes from the UK or the British Isles, and it's also a great source of humic. Also tastes terrible, so usually it comes in capsules. Then there are other types of humic and fulvic supplements or tools around the US. You can look them up. The nice thing about B minerals, these are the things that helped me in my health in the beginning. And I'm a sensitivo, so I've drunk a lot of Chinese medicine over the years, and I'm like, I don't want to drink something that tastes horrific every single day, because this is something you need to take every day. Minerals are something you need to do every single day. And our minerals taste like water. So it makes them very easy to take. And that's why if you're going to have to do something for the rest of your life because you can't get enough minerals from the foods and water you drink anymore, it would be nice to have it be very simple. So rather than going to the health food store and getting a whole bunch of pills and figuring out what you're going to take and have a handful of pills every day, just drink a shot of B minerals.
So if you got to listen to that first episode, because we take a deep dive into B minerals, and it's true. When I first recorded with you, I just started it. I didn't know much about it, and I see this brown water that you're drinking right now, and I think I braced myself and I drink it, and it tastes like water. It tastes like lovely water. It's amazing. And so that compliancy is so key. If it's a therapeutic, some kind of a temporary thing that you're doing, people can deal with it. But if you can do it every day, it gotta taste good or nothing at all. And so Beam is easy. I just throw it in my matcha. I can throw it in my water. I can throw it anywhere. What I usually do in the morning, I just put it in my water bottle and I head to the gym, and I slowly go through that. But I have to say, I had another company send me some electrolytes and minerals. I don't even know if they were humic. I'm assuming they were because they tasted so bad. And I'm like, oh, even if it's like a good company, but it's like, I think they're good, but it's just, I
good
will not drink it.
So one of the things about B minerals is we really believe we can't improve on nature. So lots of companies take a humic they take a humic substance and then they put it in a liquid and they flavor it and then they add some magnesium or they add whatever to it, thinking they're making it better. And what we're trying to say is, look, we're not trying to be everything for everybody. We're not trying to make a gut product and a whatever product and whatever. We're just trying to support minerals at the foundational level so that all the other health protocols and things that you do are more effective. And so when you have a product that has no flavor, guess what? It doesn't require any digestion. And it's already at the component size ready for absorption. So any tissue it touches, it starts absorbing.
Yeah.
So that's why people feel the difference when they take it regularly.
I've got such pill fatigue.
Yeah,
I'm like
too.
looking for anything that's like a liquid or a powder or a little shot or a little something, candy, like gummy.
Yeah, a gummy, right? Exactly. I'm almost done with pills.
If I can take a few, but I'm just done doing 20 pills a day. And the good thing is that a lot of companies are coming out with alternatives, right, to the pills and for whatever things that they're making. But Beeb has always been so easy to take. And I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that you came into my life and now I can just add these to my water and not even think about it anymore. It's just automatic and just get on with my day. So I'm really grateful for what you've done and helping a lot of other people too along the way.
Yeah, thank you. And again, of course, I think our products are the best because they are the thing that changed my life. But I just fully embrace anybody going and finding any kind of humic and fulvic supplement replenisher that they can find and get it into your body.
When you do, you let me know because I want to know how you get on. And if you have tried Beam, please reach out to me and share your experience. We want to know. And if you want to try it, you don't know what, haven't heard it and have never tried Beam, then please go to beamminerals.com and you can use the code ZORA, ZORA, for 20% off. I'll have links to that in the show notes. You also are in the UK. Are you still in the UK with Longevity Essentials?
Yes, Longevity Essentials. Yep.
Okay, so I'll have a link to that in the show notes too. And I also have your contact information in the show notes where somebody has questions, they want to reach out to you. I've got your website, your Instagram, and they can just reach out to you. Is there anywhere else you'd like to direct them?
Well, again, you can, if you're in the US, go to mineralresetbook.com if you're interested in the book. And you can also purchase it on Amazon, in all over the world. So pretty much anywhere you can get it. So definitely the book is very helpful if this information interested you. You could also go to carolineallen.official on Instagram. I'd love to have you follow me. We're going to be putting out a lot of content and information about minerals and that are going to be relevant for people with different chronic issues.
It's such an easy read, too. The book is so good. The Mineral Reset. If there's one thing that you would like the reader of the Mineral Reset to have a takeaway, what would you like them to take away from it?
Biggest takeaway is your body is not a mechanical vehicle made of parts and pieces and tissues and structures. It is a natural cellular ecosystem. And when you start to think about it that way and support it from the foundation with minerals, it can change your life. I say, if you are looking for more energy, the best source of energy on earth is from the earth. It's minerals.
Love that. Love that ending. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everybody who's made it to the end of the podcast. And we wouldn't be here without you. So we're very grateful for your time. And thank you, Caroline, for your time and teaching us so much about minerals and for me, take it more seriously, too. So have a wonderful day and
Thank
a good
you
night.
so much for having me.
Yeah, and a good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are at. We'll see you next time. Take care.